In the opening service, Jenny mentioned that there would be a blending of the young or the new and the old stuff. And of course, she was referring to the worship, but it also follows through with the stories, the presentations from the Healthy Church Network and revitalization. So obviously, I represent the old stuff. But you should never judge by the outward appearance, or as they say, a book by its cover. I don't know how many of you follow the Canadian news, but if you have over the couple of weeks, you'll understand what I'm about to say. Unlike the Minister of National Defense, I'm not about to try and take credit for a plan that I did not engineer. So let me be up front. Revitalization is not my plan. I was just given the privilege, if you would, to be asked to give leadership during its implementation at Boom Road Pentecostal Church. I came to Boom Road in October of 2015 as the transitional pastor following Fred's resignation. Fred Williams, as you all know, pastored there for more than 2 decades and did a great job in pastoring the community and pastoring the church, and well respected in the area. And so I came in when the opportunity presented itself to be the transitional pastor. And shortly after coming, I attended one of the HCN meetings. I thought it would be a great opportunity to sort of reconnect, because I had been out of the pastorate for a while, doing pastors in ministries, primarily doing, primarily doing counseling and pulpit supply. And I had just returned from an overseas tour of 10 months in Newfoundland. And so I came to Boom Road and connected with HCN. And it wasn't very long before I bought in to the vision. I was curious as to what was happening in the district, where the leadership was going. And in attending the HCN, I bought into the vision. I thought it was absolutely fabulous and very timely. And so when it was presented the possibility of doing a revite in Boom Road, then I set up a conversation between the board and the district, and the rest is history, as they say. Now for the rest of the story. And Troy mentioned that part of the revitalization is that the pastor has to undergo a very thorough examination by the doctor. Well, the advantage of the transitional pastor is that you don't have to have such a thorough examination, because you're not there long enough to take the blame for anything, and you're certainly not there to take long enough to take credit for anything. And so you get to avoid the rubber glove. Not to say you get to avoid the pain, okay? So in May the 1st, actually, the congregation voted to accept the Revitalization Committee's report along with the recommendations. And so the first thing that I really like about the revitalization is, as I said earlier, it's not my plan. And so once the congregation votes to accept the report and the recommendations, then they're expected to take ownership of it. And so when there's criticism and some backlash, I get to remind them, you are the people that voted for this plan, and my role was clearly defined. I am to give leadership in implementing it. And so then immediately the criticism shifts to Dr. Paul Borden or Kevin Johnson. And I sit back and smile. So that's the first thing that I like about it. The second thing that I like about it is the HCN connection, the Healthy Church Network connection, and the district coaching. Through HCN, I get to share with and learn from my colleagues who are on a similar journey. And I also have the ear of the district superintendent if I need it. And then when it comes to the coaching with Pastor Gray, that's where I'm held accountable for my leadership. And also receive the encouragement and the support that I need during the difficult times in implementing the recommendations. And I found that to be so helpful and so positive and so encouraging. You don't have this feeling of being left out there alone to try and do something. But you have the support that you need when you need it. You know, of course, you can't expect the superintendent or the coach to be holding your hand all the way through this. You have to take the initiative and give some leadership and realize that they're there if and when you need them. And that's how I found it, and it's a great thing. The third thing that I like about it is the governance model. I really like the governance model because when it's implemented and functioning properly, it allows you to carry out your mission and do church the way church is supposed to be done, effectively, efficiently, and with excellence. And so the governance model is simply that the board governs. They don't micromanage. The pastor leads. He's not running around putting out fires. The staff equips, and the congregation does the ministry, does the work. And so you don't have this thing where you've got the vocal minority or the influential people in the congregation dictating to the board what they expect to be done, and the board being frustrated and trying to please the congregation and be loyal to the pastor. And you don't have the pastor just being preoccupied with trying to make everybody happy. And so you're able to do the mission. And the mission at Boom Road is very simple. It's to make more disciples for the Lord Jesus Christ. Now, let me give an example in concluding here this morning. When I first went to Boom Road, I would dismiss on a Sunday morning probably 3 or 4 kids for children's church or Sunday school. It was still Sunday school. So 3 or 4 kids for Sunday school. Now, I just want you to keep that in mind. This past Easter, we had a water baptismal service. It's the second consecutive water baptismal service on an Easter Sunday. And we had a lady in the tank ready to be baptized. And our children's pastor, family pastor, Angela, who God brought our way, and we have the privilege to have the best children's ministry and family ministries pastor in Canada. She's great, and she hasn't been with me for a year yet, so she's still a goddess in my eyes. When she crosses me next month, she'll be a she-devil. That's people. That's the way people are, okay? But she's just fantastic, okay? So, Angela, we got this lady that's there in the tank, ready to be baptized. Now, let me just give you the picture here. She's not the richest lady in town. Matter of fact, she's probably one of the poorest. She hasn't got it all together. She's got a lot of baggage. Personal baggage, family baggage. But a couple of members of the congregation touched her life with the love of God. And she gave her heart to the Lord. And then they mentored her. And this is like the cow and trawl. They mentored her. They discipled her. And she came to the place where she asked for water baptism. She wanted to publicly declare her desire to be a disciple of Jesus Christ. That was her words. And so I arranged for it, and she's standing in the tank, and Angela's about to baptize her. But we bring in the kids from children's churches, and a full pew of kids are there for a purpose. They are there to witness our mission statement in action. Not on the screen, not on paper, but in reality. And so I get to explain to them that this is the lady that gave her heart to the Lord and had been discipled and wanted to follow the Lord through waters of baptism because she wanted publicly to profess to be a disciple of Jesus Christ. And so they got to witness it as she was baptized in water. So you see, in revitalization, we had to go back and begin to focus on the children and start to rebuild. Because we had lost a generation of young people. And a lot of the baby boomer churches do that. They have the numbers for a while and the finances, but then as they grow older and you don't have a generation following, then your numbers decline and you go into decline. And so, for whatever reason, sometimes young people leave the church or they go elsewhere where they feel more accepted. But the thing is, you've got to rebuild. You've got to go back and you've got to become outward focused instead of inward focused. You've got to see that your mission is to make disciples, not just to have church. And so we focused, our main focus was on children's ministry and starting to rebuild. And that helped to bring new life. So Angela's working in that area, and so the children got to witness the mission statement. Now, I mentioned at the beginning 3 or 4 for Sunday school. Now, full pew of kids witnessing our mission statement. And last week, in the day camp for kids, the teachers had professional development day, so we put on a day camp for kids during those days. We didn't have 3, we didn't have 4, we had 26 kids from camp. So, it's just meant to get you out of the comfort zone, get you to start to refocus, realize what your mission really is, and get down to business of trying to make disciples for Jesus Christ. I liken it to CPR. The older the patient, the greater the risk. We took the risk. The congregation is still alive. More importantly,